Hello and welcome to another edition of Bowsie's Vlogs. I have Bowsie right here, and I'm her owner, Sonic Blue, and I'm here to give you some tips on trimming those darned nails. Tonight's episode is going to actually start off with an anecdote with Bowsie, because yesterday I was sitting on the couch and I was kind of kicking back. Bowsie was probably about midway on my chest, cuddling up, and then she decided she wants some nuzzles. So she decided to climb up my chest, grabs my bottom lip, hangs on tightly to it, and presses her cheek against mine for a nuzzle, while her claws are digging into my bottom lip. Now, that might all be cute and all, but these claws can get pretty razor sharp, especially when digging into your bottom lip and you're talking like this and you feel like you just got caught by a fisherman with a hook in your mouth. That's what it feels like. So I tried to get the claws off of my lip. I had to lift them up, kind of like removing a hook. And I'm like, you know what, Bowsie, it's getting about time I need to trim your claws because they're getting a bit too sharp. Now, that would be a perfect topic to discuss for tonight's Bowsie's vlog. Now, you probably ask yourselves, how do I trim these claws? How do I trim their claws? How do I do this? Do I need to send them into the veterinarian? Does he do that? Can I do it at home? Is there certain tools I need to purchase? Well, chances are you probably already have the tool you need in your home already. If you have a pair of toenail clippers, that's all you need. That and one extra person. The extra person will be there to hold the bearded dragon with both hands, supporting the bearded dragon like this. You definitely want to have somebody who is gentle and somebody who just holds your bearded dragon while you, and act as the clipper, will be clipping the tips of their claws. Now, I can't really show you on camera here the structure of the bearded dragon's claws. If Bowsie could sit still for a moment so I can demonstrate. Okay, I'm going to try to do this as best as possible here, so bear with me a moment. This is a close-up of a bearded dragon's claw. And you notice, well, I can't really show you on camera here because it's really difficult and we're working with a live subject here, but let me show you a visual on what I mean. Okay, now that is a bearded dragon claw. And you'll notice that behind the claw is a thick vein. That is what is a vein. This is what supplies blood to the claw. And it can hurt a lot if it's cut. What you want to do is go after this part right here. That is the very tip of the claw you want to clip. And that is the only part of the claw you need to worry about. Now, if you clip anywhere near the vein, you could harm your bearded dragon and may cause it to bleed. Now, mistakes can happen. Bearded dragons aren't always going to be still when you're trying to clip their claws. Some of them will sit there and take it. Bowsie sits there and takes it. But there could be a chance that something could startle her. She could shake or jerk, and you might get the wrong clipping. In fact, you might clip a little bit too far into their nail, which would not be very good. If in case it does happen, and mistakes do happen, and it's very understandable, everybody can make mistakes, even me. You know, I'm not 100% perfect with bearded dragons. Mistakes can happen. That's why she's a daredevil and scares the hell out of me, because Daddy is not perfect. But Miss Bowsie here takes advantage of that. I think she does. I think you do, Bowsie. But in case it does happen, and in case you make a mistake and you cut a little into their vein, here's what you need to do. Now, if bleeding starts, what you want to do is you want to get something that has no lint on it, like a paper towel. Don't use toilet paper, don't use anything else like that, because toilet paper will generate a lot of lint. Use a paper towel. And here's what you're going to do. You're going to run on some very cold water underneath that. It has to be cold. The reason being is because cold will thicken the molecules of the blood and will cause blood flow to move slower. Now, you want to slow down and stop the blood flow, so use cold water. Then you want to apply it, not squeeze it, but squeeze it just enough to where it stops the bleeding, but not enough to where it causes discomfort to your bearded dragon. So you kind of want to go in the middle there and just squeeze very gently until it stops bleeding. You want to hold it there for about maybe 5 minutes, give it a little check, and if it's still bleeding, hold it on for another 2 to 3 minutes. And then make constant checks after that. Now, after it had stopped bleeding for a while and you notice that there's a little red mark there from dried blood or whatever, and you want to get that off and cold water's not doing it, then you can go and get warm water and sort of dab it. You don't want to rub, you don't want to wipe, you want to dab until the wound is disinfected. Because, as you know, hot water is its own disinfectant. And so you might want to get some hot water on that paper towel and then kind of dab it on there a little bit. You don't want to open up the wound again, but you definitely want to clean away where the blood was. So use a hot paper towel after, I'd say about a half an hour after the bleeding has stopped. Then you want to get a paper towel with some hot water, some very warm water, and sort of dab it on there really good. Make sure you get all the infections away. And that will help in your bearded dragon's care, and especially trimming their claws, and if you happen to trim a little bit too close to their vein. Now, here's a little information too. Your handler, the one who's holding the bearded dragon, has to know how to hold it. So a little tip for your handlers, and you can show them how to handle your bearded dragon very carefully with both hands, if Bowsie will let me demonstrate. Right now she thinks it's game time. She wants to get toward the camera. Okay, here's your camera moment. Okay, see, there's the camera. There's the camera. Okay, I have to demonstrate, Bowsie, so if you permit me, Bowsie, I want to demonstrate. Okay, fine. We're not playing, Bowsie. I know you want to play. Okay, here we go. For your handler, what you want to do is you want to have one hand around the belly, and if they keep doing this, just let them play it out. You know, just let them play it out. They will get tired and eventually let you hold them. So never attempt to trim a bearded dragon's claws if they're in playful mode. You want to wait until they've tuckered themselves out like Bowsie just did here, and then you can proceed. For your handler, hold them like this. One hand supporting the belly, one hand supporting the chest, with both hands over the finger like that. That's what you want to do. That way your trimmer can now get underneath and sort of get to the claws, and if it helps, you can use your hand to hold up, or your extra finger to hold up the claw like so. The trimmer will have to, with both hands, use one hand on the hand to separate the fingers and one to operate the clippers. So this is definitely a two-person job. One person is not going to be able to trim a bearded dragon's claws. Okay, now if they happen to get hyper, just let them play it out again. You're not in a hurry, and neither is your handler. You cannot be in a hurry when you do this. This is a slow and careful process. And your bearded dragon, if they start getting a little disruptive, wait for them to, tucker themselves out, and they will. And then just wait for them to tire themselves out, and then you can proceed. But you definitely want to wait until your bearded dragon is still, perfectly still. And that way you can work on it as best as possible for the lesser chance of there being a mistake. Isn't that right, Bowsie? Isn't that right, baby? Hi. Hi. Yeah, it's getting to be about time. I need to trim your nails. But I won't trim them without a second helper. I can't possibly do that without a second helper. So we'll have to wait until somebody is free so they can hold you. Isn't that right, baby? Yeah. Hi. Hi, little Miss Gapers. Want to show everybody how cute that was? Want to show everybody how pretty you are? See how pretty? Hi. Hi, Bowsie. Hi, baby. Yeah, you're happy now. Are you a happy girl? Is Bowsie happy? Yeah, you're playing, huh? So, anyway, this is a very short episode of Bowsie's Vlogs. I decided that, a lot of people, when they trim their bearded dragon's claws, they have no idea how to go about doing this safely and how to do this without harming the bearded dragon. A lot of people are scared to do this, and you have absolutely nothing to be scared about. You're not going to make your bearded dragon any more upset. And for those of you that are trimming your bearded dragon's claws for the first time, you probably have them as juveniles or babies. Baby bearded dragons really don't need their claws trimmed until they reach about 5 to 6 months. When they reach about 6 months old and they start getting really sharp claws and they're starting to harden and they're starting to develop and they're in the beginning stages of developing into a more mature juvenile, that's when you want to have and keep a close watch on their claws to make sure that they don't get too sharp and they don't get too long. And what you want to do is when you get to that point is resort to trimming their claws the way I suggested. And they might be a little small in handling with both hands, but you definitely want to wait until they're growing up enough to where you can. So if they're still too small to handle with two hands and they're still not really that sharp, then they're fine. But 5 months to 6 months is about average for getting them started on trimming their claws. When they reach to be about 1 year old, they should have already had their first claw trimming. So usually about 5 to 6 months is when you can start to think about trimming their claws. And usually about 7 to 8 months is a good time on average to actually trim their claws. But you want to start checking 5 to 6 months in from the date of their birth. And then by doing so, you'll notice too that if your bearded dragon is growing, you're going to be used to their claws growing back faster than they do as adults. This is another reason why people tend to go a little bit worried when they notice that their adult bearded dragons, when their claws don't grow back as fast as they were when they were babies. There's a reason for that, and that way is because their bodies, including their claws, have already been developed into adulthood, so it's going to take a while for their claws to grow back. Because everything grows along with the bearded dragon. The tails, the head, the arms, the legs, their muscles, and of course their claws. The claws, unlike humans, unlike dogs, unlike cats, the claws will grow as well as our hair, as well as anything else that grows that requires a lot of trimming. Bearded dragons only have their claws that need to be trimmed. With dogs, cats, humans, other mammals, and you got to keep in mind, mammals. They're not reptiles. Mammals. Mammals, toenails, claw nails, whatever, will grow at a pretty reasonably fast rate. With reptiles, especially adult reptiles, will grow in a lot slower than we're used to. So if you notice that your dragon's claws aren't growing in as fast as you expect them to, don't panic, don't fear. There's nothing wrong with your bearded dragon, and there's nothing wrong with its health. Well, I mean, if there is, there is. But if there isn't, and you're worried about your dragon's health, and you have a perfectly healthy bearded dragon, there's nothing wrong with its health, and there's nothing wrong with its growth. It just means that their claws will take a while to grow back in. That'll at least give you about a year or two break from having to do this again. So about once a year, you'll want to trim your bearded dragon's claws as adults. As juveniles, as they're growing up, you'll want to trim them a little more often than that. So you'll probably be trimming them twice a year, maybe 3 times a year. It depends on the growth spurts that your bearded dragon reaches. And your bearded dragon will go through lots of growth spurts. In fact, that would be a good topic to talk about in our next episode of Bowsie's Vlogs. We're going to talk about the growth spurts of a bearded dragon and what to expect when they reach full size, when they reach full length, and how to prepare yourself for that time. So that will be a next episode of Bowsie's Vlogs, but for right now, if you follow these simple instructions and if you follow my tips, you should have no problem in keeping the upkeep of your bearded dragon, especially with their claws. But if you ever run into any kind of problem where you'll accidentally snip off a finger or something and you start freaking out, don't freak out, just run right to the phone and dial up the number to your local veterinarian that specializes in exotic pets. And they will set you up an appointment, they will get you through this, they will help your bearded dragon, and they will help you too. So, never forget the number of that veterinarian. Keep it on hand in case anything are to happen. And if you have any other problems with your bearded dragon, feel free to look me up. Leave a comment down below so that I can know what your question is, and I'll be around to answer it for you, because we are talking about the life of a loved one, especially a bearded dragon. And bearded dragons are considered to be loved ones because they are very loving creatures. You just have to be patient with them in order to get to that point. But you also have to take a lot of love and a lot of nurturing, a lot of raising in your bearded dragon, and a lot of teaching your bearded dragon what love is in the first place, so they know exactly what it is they're getting. Isn't that right, Bowsie? My baby. She thinks I'm talking to her, but she's trying to understand what I'm saying, and she's not getting it. But that's why she's looking at me like, huh? You lost me. So, anyhow, for Bowsie's Vlogs, this is Bowsie the Bearded Dragon, and I'm her owner, Sonic Blue, and hopefully that all of these tips will in fact help you in the raising and care of your bearded dragon. And if you have any problems, like I said, leave a comment down below, ask a question, ask me anything you feel that you need. I probably have been through it, or have enough knowledge to get through it, or can suggest other ideas or other tips on how to get through it. But never forget the number of your veterinarian, one who specializes in exotic pets, because they will help in ways that you nor I can. And to keep a very happy bearded dragon and ensure the life and health of your beloved pet is definitely priority one. Wouldn't you say, Bowsie? Wouldn't you say, Bowsie? Bowsie girl. Bowsie girl. Are you a good girl? Are you a good girl? Want to say goodbye to everybody? Can we take a chance of getting a better gape out of you this time? I don't know. Are you happy? Is Bowsie a happy girl? You got my hair on you again. Yeah, bearded dragons might not have hair, but this one seems to like mine. For some weird reason, she wants to take mine with her. I don't know. Go figure. She's a diva. Are you a diva? Are you a diva, Bowsie? Well, are you happy? Want to say goodbye to everyone? Well, she's not really that much in a gaping mood. She's kind of in a blah feeling right now. You know, she's kind of bored. But on behalf of Bowsie's Vlogs, this is Bowsie the Bearded Dragon and her owner Sonic Blue wishing you the best of luck in the care of your bearded dragons. And until next time, stay safe and good luck.